Yeah, good evening. It's another edition of Code by Moonlight, and this time we are going to be discussing a very important topic, TypeScript. And we are in the homeland of TypeScript, so that's the official documentation. I'll leave the link in the description. So if you want to know more, you can go through the documentation. And basically, what it is, it's JavaScript. It provides types information to JavaScript. So it provides static typing to JavaScript. So the definition here it says TypeScript is a strongly typed programming language that builds on JavaScript, giving you better tooling at any scale. So what that is that JavaScript and more, you understand? We have everything that JavaScript entails and an additional. So any valid JavaScript is a valid TypeScript. But then we provide more. We provide more in terms of um, types information. We provide more in terms of there are more syntax that we can use in TypeScript. There are more syntactic sugars that we can use in TypeScript. So it's just a whole very good language to learn, especially if you are used to JavaScript. Most of the ecosystem on for front end, for even back end, and on the cloud, you can really use TypeScript. It's a very good language. It provides a very good developer experience. So without wasting much time, we're just going to dive in, right? How do we go? So we want to go with this. So most times TypeScript will be embedded in your project. Could be a React project. You probably have a TypeScript there. So we're going to just create a sample project, and then we're going to run that. So let me just spin up a terminal. Okay, I have this folder already. Ls. Oh, okay, yeah, it's in the trash. Document, development, yes. I see the into and I open VS Code on that instance. Okay, I'll take this way. So let's first of all uh, initialize a new project. So I'm just going to be using npm. So let's do. Uh, I don't want no autocomplete so much. So tab 9, you have to go. I just paid for Copilot, so I can't wait to be back. But I'm not going to activate it for this class. Uh, okay, always. Uh, yeah. So we're just going to first things first. We want to initialize the new project, right? So I have the terminal open. I hope you can see the command. We do npm init, and I'm just going to be fine with all the defaults. Yeah, 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 yeah. I'm just going to put my name there. Okay, yes, clear. So now we want to install TypeScript as a development dependency, right? So basically what we are going to be deploying, if it's a front-end application to wherever we're hosting it and it's static hosting, or if it's the backend application to the cloud or an EC2 instance, we will be deploying JavaScript, so TypeScript that have been converted or transpiled as the right word to JavaScript, right? So we want this as a development dependency. We don't want to bundle it along with our app so it doesn't make it bulky. I'm just going to install that and we are good. The next thing I want to do, I want to say tsc init. So tsc to TypeScript init. So I get the default TypeScript config, and now we are here. We're just gonna go through. I'm just gonna leave some. There are some that I like. I'm just gonna go through them. Da, 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 da. Output directory. I'm gonna uncomment this. I want everything to be in this for in the build folder. Okay, so that's it. Remove comment, yeah, so that we don't want that. So I'm going to come down. I have some more settings. So no implicit any. Yeah, I don't want to see. Street non-checks true. Street function types true. So that's what I want to use. Uh, yeah, true. Always strict. True. Yeah, true. So you can read what it's saying, right? So these are just I like to. So good. So that's fine. So to test it up, we create a file that and we call it, let's call it the index.ts. So that's how we denote the TypeScript file. And then I'm just going to write a very plain TypeScript code. So constant. I'll explain this later. Okay. So we want to say this is a number. I'm going to do num1. I think my copilot is up. Num2 is a number. Yeah. Okay, so this is just TypeScript. So what we can do is when we run tsc, it's gonna compile all our TypeScript into JavaScript, right? You see how we have it here. And yeah, so this is just the equivalent. It say use strict, and then it strips out all the type information, and then it renders out the JavaScript part of it. So that's how it works, right? So uh, let's just add a script that helps us, let's say, start whatever we are doing. And yeah, and it's going to run it from build. Okay, let's see that. Okay, this is the npm. I can click on this and see. Let's see. Okay, how will I know? Let me console.log something. Console.log. Okay, good. Let's see now. Okay, just gonna run npm run start. Let's see. Okay, yeah. So it printed at that. So good. So now we have this. Let's dive in properly. So the first thing we want to talk about is bringing in this type information into TypeScript. So we are going to first of all look at the basic types we have in JavaScript. So we have in JavaScript we have number, we have string, we have boolean, array, So I think we are going into TypeScript now, right? So these are more of a TypeScript mixed with JavaScript. So this object, is a TypeScript thing. We're going to check that, and let me see. And then we have a symbol. We have symbol, right? So it's number string. Enum is not a valid JavaScript type. So we have this, and yeah, that is it. So how would we define a number type in TypeScript? So let's say we have a constant, and then we say this is going to be number 1. We could use this notation and say this is going to be a number, and then we can initialize it if we want, or we cannot. But now, what is the advantage of doing this, right? So when we say it's a constant, we have to initialize it, right? But, I just done this delete. I want to reassign and show you the first benefit now. Now, we cannot say number 1 equals to, let's say, the string. And see, we get this. It tells us that the string is not assignable to type number, which is very good. So I'm just going to specify most of the types we have. Number 1, it's going to be of type number. So let's say 1, and then let's have a string. This is my name. Okay, and then let's have a boolean. That's a fine one. And So this object, enum, symbols, these are, we are getting into, we are leaving the basic types, right? So let's see. For an object, you have to tell us TypeScript the shape of the object, right? Okay. So we've understand that this type guides us, right, on the type of data we can feed into that variable. So for objects, we do object first. For we do array, we have to specify a type. So how we do that is very easy. So let's say we have a type of users. So let's say constant user, not even a constant this time. We use the type construct user, and then this is going to be what we have there. So let's see it as name, age, and let's use another yeah, as a piece learn. So we can create such a user and say constant user has to be of that type user, and now you see we have an error. It's already error in that. It's telling us that it's missing the following properties. So this object has to have the name and age and as of is, right? So we say name, okay, so that's fine, age, and then as of is true. So this is an object, and now the error is out. It's telling us at this point that we've fulfilled the requirement, right? So that's what one thing type safety does for us. Now, I could make a type optional by doing this. There's a question mark before the symbol. And what that means is that type is optional, that property is optional. So if I do not pass it in, it's not going to complain. It's valid, right? So these are basic. Now we can have a multiple of these users. So let's say we have constant users, and this is going to be an array. So what we can do is we can say user array, then you have to pass in an array now. Watch this. If I were to pass in this, it's going to complain because it's supposed to be an array of it, right? So I can just wrap this, and now it's fine. But the object inside the array has to match the signature, okay? All right, so good. So we can have two of these, and then we can say Kristen, that 20. All right, good. So we can create a type from another type. So in its basic form, you could say type t is equals to string. No, like string. Now, what that means is this is a string. So we can say yeah. So now you see it's a string. So what that means, we can assign type. So instead of having this user array, I could maybe say create it beforehand. I know I need it. I'm going to say uh, type users is going to be user array. If you don't like this notation, there are more class-based like notation we can do. We can say array of user, anyone is just fine. And now on this here, I could just use that users. So that's a derived type, okay? We derive a type from another type. All right, so let's talk about enums. Enums comes into TypeScript, and we're going to see. So for now, let's build. Let's see. Let's run our build script again. I think I could just have something that listen. Can I do that? Okay. Let's just let's let's run it again. Okay. Let's run it. But I think I could install Node more, and that would make sure it watches for me. So good. See what we have. You see all the type information is gone. The comments are here. All the type information is gone, and yeah, so that's it. We have safe JavaScript. Good. So what can we do more? We can introduce these as parameters for functions. Okay, so this is how we would use TypeScript in a function. I just want to be sure we've covered everything. Okay, so we have conditional types also. So let's do something. So we could say constant id type could be no type, sorry, type id type could be a string, or a number, and then we can say let's just take in everything about users. So I'm gonna have something like this. I'm gonna use this. So I'm just gonna say I want a user with an ID. Okay, so I can say type user with ID, and that would be a user and ID. ID will be ID type. So yeah, we can do this. So what this is that it can either be a string or a number. And you see this combination I'm doing here, this conditioner, it's saying this is going to be a combination of both type. Okay, so our user, everything we have on user, and then an extra ID feed. Okay, so most times you don't need to go this far. If you just need it one place, you can just do that. It's also fine. And I could create a user with an ID, so we can user with ID. So that's gonna be of type user with ID, and it's gonna have the properties of user, but very importantly, it needs an ID. I could just take this. It doesn't matter, right? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I'm just overthinking that. Okay, great. It could be a number, or it could be a string. So yeah, that's cool. So let's see for enums in their basic form, we could have an enums of role, and so this would be equivalent to 0, this would be equivalent to 1, and then this could be equivalent to 2, right? But we could also have a literal enum. So let's see how enum works. So let's do a type user with ID and role. So this is it. So it's gonna extend a type user with ID, and then it's going to say role. So what that means is if we're going to create a user with ID and role that is of type user with ID and role, say we need an extra role property, and then we can say role done admin. Okay, you see, so we have access to that role, and that's going to be 0. So on this role, it's going to actually be a zero, right? Because that's what it is in the default form. But we could have rows with literals, okay? And then we could say this is an admin, and you cannot mix literal rows with literals and that of default values of numbers. So we could say this is a read only, and this is an author. So now these rows are going to have like the literal string there. It could either be one of any. Okay, so now very good. So let's see how we can use this with functions. Let's see how we can use this with functions. So in the barest minimum, I could have a function that the classical function that adds up to number. Could be a number function, an arrow function. So let's say add two numbers, and so yeah, so we'll say a plus b. Now what we've said is this add two numbers is a function, is going to have two parameters a and b, and a is going to be a number, b is going to be a number. It's definitely going to return a number, and yeah, this is where we do the operation. If we hover on this, it's telling us that this function is giving us a signal and it says it's going to return a number. Okay, now we are going to run this. I want us to run it first, so we can say add two numbers 1 and 2, and we can console.log that. Console.log that just to show that it works. I'll put the name of the function so we know which function split that add. Okay, now this works. This is valid TypeScript. But there's something we fail to talk about, and that is inference, right? So you see this case where we are already initializing this number. We do not need to give TypeScript extra information that it's going to be a number. So we can do away with this, and then TypeScript is going to infer that this is supposed to be a number, right? And that's because it's a const. So if we were to change this to a let, it's going to infer now that it's supposed to be a number, right? So it can be a number, but if it was a constant, right, then it's saying it's of type 1, like literally 1. You can't change it to anything. Funny enough, you can create a type and say this is going to be 1, 1 and 2, and then yeah, so any number. So let's say let 1 and 2 has to be 1 and 2 is of type 1 and 2. Now you can only assign 1 or 2 to it. You cannot assign 4 to it. It's bad. Okay, so because TypeScript is so smart, it not only infers that this is a number, but it infers that this is only going to be 1. Why? Because of this constant we have here. If you have a constant, you cannot change it later on, right? So it's saying it's just going to be 1. But if we had to change this to a let, you see when we hover on this, it said it's going to be a number. So we can assign another number to it, and that will be fine, but we cannot assign a string to it. Now we didn't provide this type information, but TypeScript is still able to infer. And also we can do that here. We can take that off, and then yeah, just make it more succinct. In fact, your goal in TypeScript is to make sure you write code that are even more inference. You don't specify the types too much. You just do it one place and make sure that you rely on inference, right, or true. So if we can bring in inference here now, we already know that if we add a number to a number, it's definitely going to be a number. So you see when we hover on this, it's going to be a number. Even if we take this off, TypeScript is still going to know that, yeah, if you add a number to a number, it's only logical that it gives you a number. And I'm just going to write this function without arrow function so you know how to type it. Okay, so that's constant add two numbers. So I'm just going to call it 2. And I said arrow function, but I'm already doing this. So yeah, so that's this, and then we have this, and then we have this also. So as function will return a plus b. Yeah, so pretty much the same stuff. Pretty much same stuff. So far so good. So far so good. Let's run this. Okay, I forgot I did. Okay, I'm just gonna do npm run start. Fine, that's it. So we see our numbers, right? So working fine. So let's deep dive into functions. So let's say we want to have I need a long list now. Let's play around with functions. Let's see. What more can we do? So let's have a complex function that takes in a user with ID. So let's say constant get constant is admin. So this function is going to take a user with ID, and it's going to tell us if it's an admin or not, right? So yeah, so what do you think this function is going to return? It's going to return a boolean, right? So if we were to pass this in and say is admin is equals to is admin is our ID. So what was he? Is an admin. So it's a boolean, right? So we can consider log this. Good. Let's see. Is an admin. Okay, cool. True. So that's how we pass types to function to their parameters. But there's still a lot we can do with functions, right? So let's see. Let's do, no, we'll go into generic. So we didn't talk about symbol. So symbol is, they're like string, but one thing about them is that they are unique, okay? So to create a new symbol, we can say this is a symbol 1, then new symbol, and symbol 2, new symbol. Now the first thing is they are unique. So if I were to say console.log symbols symbol test is symbol 1 equal to, this is going to be false because yeah, they might look alike, but they're not the same. They have the so you see it's already complaining. But let's see what TypeScript is gonna say. Now that's even the beauty of TypeScript. It's not even gonna work. So let's give it a name. So we can give the symbol a key. So let's say Kel. Let's say email. Then we can give this a key of phone. You see, it still ain't gonna let us compare. So that's fine. You don't even compare it, but because yeah, they are they are unique. We can try this. We can try this in JavaScript learn. So let's see. Let's really do that. And I don't want to miss that. Let's play with symbol on the JavaScript end and let's really see how it behaves. Okay. Let me just pop up my run.js. This is just a playground for, so you can say symbol 1 equal symbol 2. So that's the wrong spelling, not symbol. So you see false, right? Yeah, I expect them to be false. So what I'm saying, even if I change them to email, I don't have a license, they are still false. I have to delete this, they are still false. Yeah, but then symbol 1 will be equal to symbol 1. You see, that's true, right? So that's basically what they are. We can use them as keys for object. Okay, so let's say this is an email and it's a phone, and we can have a constant contact, which is so we can say symbol 1. So that's an email. Then this is how we render dynamic variables in as keys of object, right? You know this syntax. I expect you know it. So, oh no, we're still supposed to be in run.js. Let me even see. Oh, it's big now. So, what is contact? What is contact? See, it says the key is a symbol. The key is a symbol. So what I mean is we can say give us a. I have to wait for that timer. I wish they could give me a license so I can just enjoy it for free. I'm gonna get a license, right? Okay, it's fine. So you see, we could get the object at that symbol, and beauty, even if it's empty, they are unique. Okay, so yeah, we could get the for that symbol, or we could get for the other symbol. There, that's just one of their use case. So we could define those in TypeScript also, right? How do you define symbol? So the symbol, it says it takes in a string or a number or an undefined, right? So in TypeScript, let's see what they have about symbols. Let's go look for it. Dogs. I'm just gonna do a TypeScript symbol to see. They should have a way to type it. Oh yeah, I think they kind of explain. So unique symbol. We can have this, but this just these words we don't touch so much, right? So yeah, let's just ignore that. And I want us to talk about two types. They're not so basic, but they are sometimes used. So let's say we have a set constant IDs, and then this is going to be a new set. and yeah, you pass in an array to a set. But the thing is, you can provide a type for the set, and yeah, so we've said this is going to be a set of number. So see what's saying now. So we have to provide an array of number. What if we provide an array of string? It's already complained. It said no, this has to be a set of number. So what if we say this is a set of number or string? You see, this is fine. And then if we say this is a set of just string, and then there's a problem also, right? So yeah, we have to provide just strings. Okay, and I'm just messing up my syntax here, but that's fine. And now we can say like this dot add, and if we pass in a number, see, it's gonna complain. It's gonna tell us that no, it's supposed to be that type. And if we were to, let's say, get our guy, it is that dot how do you get from a set? Oh yeah, it's just an array. So yes, exit like an array. Oh, I can't. This is a weird experience today. So IDs dot add, IDs dot. Okay, you can loop through it. I think yeah, you can loop through it. But that's that. But you get it. Gist. I'm just interested in how you define it. Okay, and it could be useful for you. And also, we sometimes we have a map. Let's say user map is equals to new map string and string, and what that is we can have an object that says the name. Yes. So that's that's wrong. So a map of string, right? So, okay. That's fine. So let's just create a map. Most times, usually we just create a map and then we can add something, set, right? Set, and then we can say Kelvin. Then we can pass all we want. No, okay. We even said it's gonna be Kevin or a string. So Kevin mass. This is what we've said. Okay, sorry. So the key is what we have on this place, right? And then the value is what we have here for the map, right? So we can take this and let's try to get a bit creative with it. And we have a very robust user type here. So I could say this would be their ID. Their ID would be like what we can get the value is, and then what we are going to store here is a user with an ID and role. So now we can pass in an object, and the object has to match that syntax, right? Okay, okay, good. And we can do that. We can set another one. We can. So if we were to do a user user map dot get, yeah. So yeah, I was missing that. And we were to get Kelvin. He definitely is going to say he's going to give us the right type. So let's say map user. Okay. So what's this? So yeah, it's either user with an ID and role or undefined. So there's a case where we could not maybe have this Kelvin. It's not so sure, right? Do we have it? So we want to say this will always be true, right? So what can we do? So if we are sure that this will always be true, we can say as this, right? So now we are only left with this, okay? Or we can do this. Okay, no, we are left with this. Okay, we have another keyword, but that's not its use case. It says it's to check for satisfied. So what you want to go with is the as, right? So just do that so you are very sure. So yeah, so now It's gonna be a user with an ID of role when you get that. So that's for map. I think we've touched functions, but there's something I know we haven't touched. So let's see how we can define some kind of, let's get flexible with types. So let's define a type. We did something like that just now, but I'm going to show you some more syntax. So let's say we want to have a record. So let's have a record. So a record could be an object, and the object could have a certain shape. So let's say we have a user record, and to do that, we'll say this is going to be a record. So here we want to specify the key, what type the keys are going to be. We can say they are string, and here we are going to say what values it's going to be. We can say it's a number. So what that means is if we were to define such a record, mass 1 will be good, Kevin 2 will be good. So it's going to take in an object with numerable keys, right? But the keys has to match what was specified here. So the first is going to be a string, right? And yeah, this still works because it considers this as a string, right? So yeah, so this still works, just your regular object still works, it's a string, right? And then here's going to be a value. So I can go ballistic here and say this is going to be a user, a string, then a user with ID and role. Now it's all erroring out. So I can just take this and say this is this. So that's fine. And this is fine. And this is fine. I can change this up a bit. Auto read only. Notice how VS Code is able to provide very good autocomplete, right? TypeScript in action gives you good developer experience. All right. So yeah, so it's a record, right? You'll be seeing so many types that has this kind of syntax, and this is driving us to somewhere we call generic syntax. But I don't want to go there yet. I feel like there are still some things we've not exhausted. So let's see. How can we talked about inferring types, right? So we talked about relying on inference, and then we talked about assigning one type to another, right? So where we did this was basically us assigning another type, even if it was a joint type. Yeah, let's do reference type. Let's do reference type. Okay, reference type. This is an interesting one. So let's say user with a so let's see what is a user. A user is a user type, right? So we're going to do reference type here. So let's say we want to have a type and say type uh, type user age, and then we don't want to define it, so we can use the syntax and say it's going to be age. And what that is we are saying go into user and then pick the age property. So this type is what we want. So and if you see user age is now a number, so this is reference type, right? Okay, wow, we've done a lot. So let's see how we can use TypeScript with classes. Okay, so let's create a fictitious class. So a class, and then I can say user service. And in this class, can have some properties. Okay, so it can have some properties. Let's say constant user. So you know what? I want to type this service, this class. I'm going to say it's going to have these properties, and then it should also have this method. So I'm going to say type user. So let's say user service type. Okay, let's say it's going to have a user. Okay, and it's going to have a age, and it's going to have a greet user function. Greet user, yeah, it's going to take in the user. So I'm saying this is a name. Age, it's going to take in the user name. Okay, I don't think we can refer here. So I don't think we can refer now. Okay, yeah, we can. Then it's going to take the age, which is okay, we can. That's cool. Okay, so yeah, so if we say now this class is fine, but we can use the implement keyword, and I think that will. Oh no. So now what that is that it's telling us that this class does not implement the interface very well. Now, a new word interface. An interface or a type, they are basically more like the same thing, right? So I see interface more like when you're going the object-oriented route. So you can extend another interface and then you can cast an interface to the neighboring one. But sometimes types are just more succinct, depends on what you want to follow. So if we want to have this as an interface, since we're going into object-oriented programming a bit, I'll just say this is an interface and that way we're good. So the only advantage is we can extend like we do a class. It's just like the blueprint of a class. So it's saying this class is supposed to have a property called it has to have a name property and an age, and then it's still complaining that it needs a function that greets the user. So now we've properly implemented this interface. So I think we can do, can we do private? So yeah, so now what am I doing? How do we say, okay, read only, read only. So yeah, we can do this. And now let's see if we, so it's a string read only name. So it doesn't get that. So I think I missed that, but that's fine. So basically, yeah, we can do this to classes, and let's just run it one more time. Let's run it one more time. So let's say it's going to initialize this, and then I failed to teach us constructor. So we could have a constructor, and then we can say constructor, and we could even pass this name in, right? And then an age string. Then we can say business name, business age. Age is supposed to be a number. So yeah, so we're still going to implement that. So we can do this. So now I can say, now I have to pass in two parameters. So mass, you see, and now I can say console.log user service dot greet user. So now greet user doesn't even need a parameter now because it has a constructor, right? So it's gonna be a this name is gonna be a and then yeah, we don't even need to specify this anymore. So yeah, great. Now we can do this and it's gonna greet the user, right? So let's run this and then we'll try one more thing. Beautiful. So yeah, we have, oh wow, why that? So user service undefined. Why? I got the thing correct. Oh yeah, it's just consoling that log. It's just consoling it, and um, so I'm just gonna call it. I'm gonna console it. Yeah, I'm just gonna call it. It's already consoling it. It's already logging it out, right? So that's what I mean. Let's see. So yeah, hello mass 30. So that's some of it. I want us to do more. So let's do generics. Generics. Uh, so what do we have here so far? Oh, very messed up code. Oh yeah. Oh wow. Then it repeated this. So I'm gonna see. So because of this TypeScript, we don't even need to do this sometimes. And let's even say we don't want to specify the interface. We are just good with type. TypeScript can still help us a great deal. Since we know we are going to be initializing it from the constructor, I think okay, we have to pass it in, right? Oh, all right. Okay. That's fine. That's fine. So yeah, let's do generics. So what are generics? Generics makes our types reusable, right? Generics makes our type reusable. But before we do generics, I'm just going to chip in one more thing that I just remembered, key of. So let's say we have a, let's our user type. I'm going to our user type, right? But want to get all the keys. We could say type user key is equals a key of user. So right, so this is going to be a name or an age. So let's see that in action and see constant user key type key user key sounds better. So it can either be a name or an age. You see how we have the autocorrect, right? If we were to put in something else, user key, that's not a key of user. It's not complaining. Hazardbase is one of them. Oh yeah, it is. So this is the type user. Hazardbase is one of them. So if you have to say Hazardbase2, it's gonna complain. So yeah, that's valid. Okay. So that's how we can get a key, and you really see the beauty of these things when you are missing and matching, right? So for example, here we had our map. We could say where we have a map, we could say instead of this string, we could have that key of the, those are some of the use cases you might want to see. So just know that you can extract those type away from it, right? And also, I'm going to show you one more inference type. So where did we do inference? We did inference, I think around our user. I think around user, yeah, so this inference. So well, let's do one very nice inference from an array. So let's say we have so this was our users array, right? And you know this is an array of users. I don't have a, the code is not formatting very well. I'm just going to install prettier npm prettier as a dev. I'm going to install it as a dev dependency. I'm going to create my dot prettier .json file. I'm going to say prettier. Yeah, I have the snippet already. So yeah, things are going to be formatted nicely now. Yeah, beautiful. Good. So we want to get the user type from this array. So we're going to say type user from array. So what we can do is we can say users and then we get the first index. This is the type, right? But we're getting the first index. So what that means is going to give us that, oh yeah, so this is what's expected, the direct type, all right? So we could, sometimes you just have the array, maybe you extract it from a library and you have it as an array. You can actually get the first, the type from it, okay? So I'll leave that there. So let's go into generics. Just like functions, we have reusable functions. For TypeScript, we have generics that kind of make our types somewhat reusable, right? So let's say we have this type HTTP success response, and usually it's going to have a status of success, it's going to have a code of number, basically specifically 200 or 201, right? It could be more granular. Say this is either a 200 or a 201, depends, right? Every 200 200x there are also source code, but yeah, we could say we limit into this. And then the data, we do not know the data, so let's even say sometimes this could return a user, other times it could return an order. So let's create a type for order, the buyer. Okay, so let's say this is a string product string. Okay, so sometimes we cannot always come and keep doing this. If we do this, this will be very bloated. So whenever we get HTTP response, let's say constant success response, so it comes from our API. So I'm just gonna do a fake API call. So let's say a constant let's say get users, and it's supposed to return HTTP response, and we're just gonna do return fetch dot then response to JSON. So let's have this. So now it's complaining that this fetch is going to return a promise. So we're going to appropriately have a promise of HTTP response, right? Okay, so let's see what happens if we do this. Until the no, let's do a get users dot then users users. So why? So yeah, it's a function. Sorry. So we'll call it. So let's see. No. I'm trying to run this. So what happened? Say the fetch is not defined. So we are running on node. What do we do? How do we get fetch in? Well, we can just import Axios. So let's install Axios. I'm going to install Axios so I can use it. I want to make this API call, right? It's a good day. So I'm going to say npm install Axios. This time I don't want to make it a dependency. So yeah, so I can import. Yeah, that's something we're never going to cover. So import Axios from Axios. Okay, I have this thing that takes off my unused import. So I'm going to say is Axios dot get, so that it gets it. No, we don't need all this. Okay, let's see. No, the code to run it. Let's see if we can. So what? So we have close that's failing. So yeah, why is it constant? It's not being used anywhere. So yeah, it's complaining that I don't have stuff that I'm not using. So I think I must have broken my code. Let's see. So I've removed those. I'm gonna run it again. It's catching some errors. So what are we good? I'm supposed to run it again and see. So all this stuff that I'm calling that I'm not using, it's complaining. So I'm just gonna consider log them. Just gonna consider log them so it doesn't come. I have a rule, right? That says it's not gonna allow that. So you can't just have variables dangling around and you're not using them. I'm just gonna comment this out, and I'm gonna comment some of it that I'm trying to. I'll push this to a repo when we are done. Okay. Just comment this out. So let's move forward. I don't want to disable those warnings. It says we're not using it. We're not using it, then that's fine. Let's only focus on what we're using. So now there, I run it again, npm run start, just click on that. Let's see, is a key, so where is it? So it's not being used. That's his problem now, right? And now method of truth, let's see, npm runs. I keep checking for the command. Yeah, so you see we got a user, so let's be sure. Let's type this. This is what we get. So this is what we get. So we're supposed to get the data from it. Okay, so we say return response data. Okay, so that's fine. So now it should work a bit more better. So we can see what we have here. Okay, now you see we can see what we have here. So I like this. So let's get one of it, and I want to get one of it. So see what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna say get one of it. So let's see what that is, and you see what I'm trying to do. And if I say get one of it and run that again, so we're gonna have like a complex type. So yeah, you see this type. So I'm gonna copy this. I'm gonna copy this. Yeah, copy. And if I paste it here, see how it looks. So I'm gonna copy it again. Great. Now there's this extension I have. I'll show you. Typescript. It turns code to types. Yeah, this one. Paste JSON as code. Paste JSON as code from QuickType. So let's see if we can try to use that. So I can say paste JSON as code. So what I have is not a JSON. So I'm just gonna try. I'm trying to make this a JSON so you see what this does. So let's say we have this. It's to make it a JSON. I'm just gonna do this. I'm going through the stress so you see how useful that extension is. So let's say you get an API call and it's a JSON. We can do this. No. Oh no. What happened to my monitor? Okay, so that's fine. I just want to make this a valid JSON. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna close up all this. Just gonna be patient. Just remaining some of it. Let's be patient so we get the learning point out of it. Alright. So I think this should be a valid JSON now. I'm gonna call this. No. So I'm gonna call this from here to here. I'm cutting this. I have this on my clipboard, so I can come here and say Ctrl Shift P, paste JSON as code. Oh wow, it's not a valid JSON. So you know what? I guess I'm just gonna hit this API and get it on the browser. I hit it on the browser. Okay, yeah, good. I have this now formatted as JSON for me. I'm just gonna copy this. And let's see now. If we do a Ctrl Shift P, see now it's telling me to give it a name. So I can say user from, where's that place? Type it. So I can do it again. Ctrl Shift P, user from JSON place folder. Is a weird name. See how it gives me the type, and then it next the address, and then the geolocation, and then the company. It just gives me that, right? So that's it. So we are very much sure that this is going to be the response, right? But how do we type this? How do we type this very well? So for now, if I were to do like a console.log of these users, I'm seeing that I have access to data, I have access to, and that is already out of the way. So let's see. So what we can do is we can do something called a generic. And what that is simply is that we don't know what the type is, but we are going to be passing it to you. So yeah. So now what we can do here is this is a promise of that it doesn't matter, it can be at the bottom of this, then an array of it, okay? And now we can be sure that users uh, it's gonna have it the data. Yeah. So it's not really having a code or whatever. It's just having it's not even I don't think they wrap that. But yeah. So I don't think they wrap that. But what I was trying to say is if you were to have something like this you want to reuse, you could pass in a generic, right? Uh, that's it. So this guy he doesn't wrap it, he just gives you a user array. So yeah, we can definitely type this, and if we were to check, it's gonna give us all the property that you can have on an array, and that's just very fine. And if we were to do this, let's say we get the first one, and then we call this user, and then okay, no. And see, yeah. So it's saying this is going to be a promise of just that, not an array of it. So it's a promise because you have to wait for it. So this promise, it's like a generic type. You pass in what type of value it's going to be getting from the promise. And talking about promise, I think I've fulfilled my promise in teaching a bit of TypeScript. So I'd like to stop here today, and very shortly I'll do another sequel to this video, and we are going to go over the basic concept again, and then we're going to go into more generics, and then we're going to go into more advanced use cases, and we're going to test it on a framework. So we're going to test it in React, we're going to test TypeScript in Node. We're going to try to see how you can bring in TypeScript to an existing Node project or an existing React project, how you migrate successfully. So yeah, this is some of the scope we are going to be covering. It was nice talking to you guys. I hope you gain a thing or two. Peace.